But from that point of view, if we look at that, where do you see asset management going in the future? I've asked everyone this question. Where do you see
Yeah.
everyone? Where do you
Well,
see it going in the future?
that's a great question.
It's a
Like I
tough
said,
question now.
well, like I said, I think it was 40 years ago that Penny Burns said that we need a different approach. I believe, uh, when she did a series of studies, we need a different approach. You can't just keep doing the same thing. And
No, you can't.
a more holistic approach, a more interdisciplinary approach.
Yeah,
And that's what we were trying to do in the asset management framework, to show that you really can't just look at individual assets. You cannot just look at maintenance and repair. You cannot just look at new construction. You have to look at it all together. And
yeah,
I think that's where it should go. I don't know if that's where it is going, but you know, the Infrastructure Act of 2021 does offer that opportunity
mm,
for the federal government, because for the United States, because that's funding over 5 years, $550 billion over 5 years, and
yeah,
it does offer an opportunity to manage things
yeah,
differently.
yeah.
Um,
You got to look beyond. It's one of the fundamentals which they never used to do. You got to look at that blue sky and see what's coming up. And it's very hard now because things are changing so much. You're talking about flying cars. They won't be. They'll be out not long from here. You're looking at AI. You're looking at robots now. You're looking at all this sort of stuff. You're looking at China. I saw the other day. I think it was on LinkedIn. They built a 10-story apartment block in 28 hours because of the new construction techniques. It's virtually just
wow,
similar, yeah, Lego blocks, basically.
wow.
And they just stacked them up, and kept going, kept going. They did this 10 stories in 28 and a half hours. Now, I'm not talking about the slab, that's another issue, but it was actually taking it from the ground up to finish. And then you still had to do the internals. But, yes, they can do that sort of thing. I mean, they can walk a building from one location to another rather than demolish it and rebuild somewhere else. We can't do that. We don't have the
Right.
capability, I suppose. We don't have the money, or we don't have the resources to help. Yeah. So they're doing extraordinary things, and that's the way the world's going, and it is changing. There's no question about it. China's talking about the Silk Road. Putting rail down the Silk Road. So is America, because the marketing opportunities just grow tenfold, and that's what they're after. And with that comes new ideas. So the amount of change that's going on is quite dramatic, but asset management is there to stay. It's just maybe a different form. The need to spend thousands upon thousands of hours designing may change significantly. It becomes a package. You want one of those, you take it off the shelf, here it is. You know, which basically happened with, I suppose, if you look at light buildings like sheds. I don't mean the tin sheds out the back. I mean the industrial sheds. That's what happened there. I knew a draftsman back in my first job, 1982, before computers really became an issue, and he wrote a software package where he put the dimensions of the shed in. Shouldn't call it a shed, a warehouse in, and it would draft everything for him. So he'd end up with a complete package, everything sized, everything done. There was no need for an engineer to come anywhere close to it. And that was it. He just needed the dimensions. And this is what, here it is. The computer did it back in 82.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and one of my mates from college, I got him a job in the same place. And they had an old HP, what was that? HP 85, I think. It was one of the first desktop computers. Here, when they built the Tullamarine Freeway, they elevated it around Melbourne. So instead of going to Melbourne and then going through the city, it wraps itself around Melbourne, and it was all elevated. He did all the shop. He automated the system to do all the shop drawings, and it was all pre-stressed. So all the holes had to be in the right place and everything else, and it was all sections. He programmed it and did the lot back in '82. Those That sort of thing you'd struggle to do now.
Yeah.
and it's just the way it was. But that was the need. You had to roll it out, and it had to be built fast. So it was just shop drawing after shop drawing. These things are happening, and these things will change. The way we, the quality of our water. Australia is very strict on that sort of thing. Other countries will come too. Some countries you can't drink the water out of the tap.
Right.
Yeah, we can. We've got recycled water in the backyard, all that sort of stuff. So, whereas 30 years ago, people used to laugh at us when you suggested that. Said, don't be silly. We're not going to drink out of the sewage farm. They are now.
We have problems with our water right here in Washington, D.C. We had a lot
Yeah,
of rain. Last week we had a lot of rain, and there was a there was problem with the water in certain neighborhoods here in the District of Columbia. There was a um, Washington Water, DC Waters companies said, don't drink the water. There was a boil water alert
yeah,
because there was so much rain that it affected, the water system.
yeah.
But, even what you said earlier about design, we'll have these designs, but you still have to think about the maintenance and repair. So,
That's
um,
what's missing. Yeah,
right,
yeah. The maintenance plans, understanding what's critical, what's not. It's even like the water. You're saying, if that was in their risk register, I bet it wasn't that sort of thing. What happened? Um, then they would have addressed that and should address it.
right,
And then there's the maintenance that needs to be applied to it. So they're the missing maintenance in particular is very much so missing. In the UK, with past 55, they came from a maintenance background. I'm talking tongue in cheek here. I know when they tried to come into the asset management world with the IAM, and before that, it was more a maintenance world. They spoke over there. In Australia, it was always a strategic planning, and the maintenance really didn't get a Guernsey. Now they've come into the strategic side, and we're still got that void, which is maintenance. In heavy industry, in mining and all that, the maintenance is a big deal. When it comes to local government and whatnot, not so. It needs to be brought
right.
in. It needs to be raised. And I one of my clients, I did the valuation for their stormwater system. I said, you're going to have to address this. How much you spend on maintenance? Your stormwater? Oh, about $15,000. I said, you can't even get out of bed to even think about doing the maintenance for $15,000 a year. What are you going to do? Yeah, unblock a pipe. That's about all you can do. Crazy. Yeah, it's got to come, and that's the next part of the equation here, I think, in particular. And then all the innovation through the maintenance that's happening and all that will come as well. And they'll start thinking differently again. So it's always changing. Constant change is a constant. Put it that way. It just accelerates in some areas more than others. But you've always got, you've got to look at how you deliver asset management internally and both externally. Consultants need to do that, and the authorities themselves need to do that as well. And that's the challenge. I think there's the next challenge here, anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's the same here as well. Yes.
yeah, yeah. We can adopt with the new AI robots and all that. That's fantastic. I mean, we've got food stores here, the big what do they call them? Transport hubs. You've got robots running around. Very few people, but you got
Oh, yeah.
doing that. But that's an aside. That will come in and is coming in certain industries, not in others. Certainly not in engineering, not yet. But you've got to deal with the fundamentals as well. You've got to get some of those gaps completed.
Right.
And then I'll be happy to walk away. And they'll see the back of me and they'll be celebrating, I think. In the meantime, I'm gonna have fun doing this. So, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I think we've gone way overboard. Yeah. But that's okay.
This was
It's
great.
another
Yeah,
it's another 2 videos.
this was great.
So, yeah. Thank you for your time. I mean, it's great. The minute I saw your profile on LinkedIn. I thought I've got to talk to this person as well. To more so to bring into us. But what I'd like to say is that part of this, and it's about your own contacts, pushing these videos out there as well, if you can, because
Okay.
they're hearing about what I've got to say within Australia,
Mhm.
and my clients and the industry are hearing about what you've got to say and what changes have made. It's been a fascinating talk.
Yeah, it's
So
been great. Good talk. And yes,
mm,
on LinkedIn, we can push it out on LinkedIn.
yeah, absolutely, and that's the intent. And what I am doing, because I do want, and I noticed you joined the Patreon site, Drop of
Oh,
Wisdom.
yes.
It was called that quite deliberately. Here's a drop of wisdom, people, and that's the whole purpose of the videos. It's, people, go to the Patreon site. There's lots of information there, and there's going to be more every month. And so they can go and learn. They can learn who the mother and father, if you like, of asset management were. Penny Burns, Roger Byrne, in the world. But recognise, and I had a discussion with an experienced person last month, because we still look at awards. We give awards to bridges. We give awards to roads. But asset management has changed the world as we know it. It's made, where it's been applied, it's made the environment safer, more comfortable, because we've changed the way we do things, and we're delivering services differently than we used to do. Yet that doesn't get an award,
Right.
and that's the next thing for me to change. He says, "Yeah, I've never thought of it that way." Because I said to him, because they've produced a tree asset management plan, and I said to him, and it's the one of the first I've seen, and it's really well written. I'll see if I can get it for you. Enjoyed this video? Press the like button and subscribe. If you'd like to see more, please click on the Patreon link below and sign up.